So another day, another improvement to Silicon Dojo, right? So this is silicondojo.com, as you should know by now. And we use Wix because Wix is awesome. Anyways, one of the things I've talked about is Wix has a really cool back end. So it has a CRM, a customer relationship management product on the back end of this thing. So it can track what users do on your site, which is a useful thing for an education site. So when you book an appointment with me, right? So when you go and you do office hours, it will track that, and I can put notes about how our meeting went. When you do a self-study program, so that Python series that I'm doing, when you do that and finish that, it will log that in the back end with a lot of different things. It'll log that in the back end, and it allows Silicon Dojo to create what I call an institutional relationship with the students. Again, when you think about numbers in the modern world, there's one of me and there's a lot of you, right? We have like 110 members on Silicon Dojo already, and it's only been around for like a month. So imagine when there's like 1,000 members or 10,000 members, right? And then imagine poor little me trying to keep up with any of that. So the cool thing is, right, we got the CRM solution on the back end. So as you're using the Silicon Dojo product, it's kind of tracking you to use it. And so when you need a meeting, when you need office hours, right before the office hours, I can pull up your permanent record, take a look at what you've done, take a look at any previous notes, that type of deal, and then be able to hit the ground running. So with the office hours, again, office hours are Mondays through from 1 to 5. Basically 30-minute sessions, right? You can get on, ask me questions. Well, one of the interesting things is I saw one of the people that signed up. I actually remember them well enough, so that's good. But they were from my old Skype meeting. So I haven't done a Skype meeting in like 4, maybe 5 years. And that's one of the things to think about, like with institutional relationships. What if you haven't spoken to the person in 5 years? And then you're hopping on to a Zoom call for 30 minutes and you need to try to support them. Wouldn't it be nice if you had a record of what the hell you talked about 5 years ago so that you can jump into the conversation? So anyways, right, we got all that. So the new is for our classes. So we do the Zoom classes. So once a week right now, maybe we'll get back to twice a week. Once a week at least, we do interactive Zoom classes. Today we're doing a class on introduction to programming. So previously, this has redirected you to meetup.com. So you just go to meetup.com and you RSVP there. Well, now I'm setting up for not today's, but the next one, and going forward, when you RSVP, it's going to there we go. Come on, Wix. It's actually going to take you to an RSVP within the Silicon Dojo. So again, so we can track. See how we have guests, we have users. So I can see, it gives me a better view of everything that you're doing. And again, this is like an interesting thing. It's one of the things that I find fascinating with the modern world of IT and thinking about how we can bring IT more into the physical world. Again, that's one of the things that I'm focused on is like IT in the physical world. And there's something in the IT in the physical in the normal world, in the IT world. Anyways, it's called a single pane of glass, right? And the idea with a single pane of glass as a technology professional is I should be able to walk into my NOC, my Network Operations Center, or my SOC, my Security Operations Center, or whatever, have screens somewhere along the lines of that, and basically have them be dashboards that are telling me everything that's going on with my systems, right? So I should be able to walk in, that should be sectioned off to many different dashboards, and basically I can see what latencies are to my primary sites, I can see where there's any breakage or any issues, I can see work orders over the past day or so, and the idea is with a single pane of glass, I as a technology professional can walk in, look at the screen, and have a reasonable idea of what the hell is going on with my infrastructure. And what I find curious, and again, for me, that I find interesting, is can we bring this more into the physical world? And again, for smaller and smaller organizations and businesses, where you can just walk in and you, as a business owner or whoever, you have this single pane of glass that is giving you an overview of the things that you care about. Um, And so anyways, that's with silicondojo.com, and with Wix, what I'm trying to get closer to. Wix isn't perfect for this. I feel like Wix is an awesome first draft. I do feel probably like in a year or so, I'm going to have to write my own platform. That's going to suck. Don't want to be clear. Not excited about that, but I probably will have to, and however long. But I do believe Wix is a good place to start. So anyways, if you RSVP for the Zoom classes, you can just do that on Meetup as you've been doing before. But if you want your information to be tracked or whatever, you can do it on Silicon Dojo. Again, I'm not selling that or any of that kind of stuff. It's just so I know what the hell is going on. Because again, it's an interesting question with scale. Again, and this is where we talk about ideas. Fuck ideas, people. Fuck ideas, people. Right? Because ideas, people are like, ah. Anyways, like there's a real question with scale. If I have 10 students, I probably know everything I need to know about the 10 students. If I have 50 students, I can probably keep up. If I have 100 students, I can fake it. I can fake like I remember who the fuck you are. You can feel like you have a real personal relationship with me as I nod along, and I'm like, fuck, what is their name? But I can pretend, right? Again, one of the issues you get to is scale. What happens when somebody like me has 1,000 students? And again, with Silicon Dojo, like, and that's not whatever. Like, again, 1,000 to 10,000 students on Silicon Dojo. I don't believe those are stretch goals. I don't believe those are stretch goals. I believe that's relatively reasonable. Again, free education, whatever degree. But think about that. If I'm actually trying to be able to support people and advise people and all that kind of stuff, what are the systems that you have in place to be able to facilitate that kind of scaling for the humans that have to deal with this? Things to ponder. But anyways, the main subject of the day, 7 minutes into this video, the main subject of the day is how to deal with professional trolls. So I thought this was an interesting thing that came up from one of my viewers who sent me a question. To be clear, I do not believe this is violating Batcave rules because they wrote a blog post. I feel like if you write a blog post and you put that on the internet, I don't believe there's Batcave rules on that. Anyways, if you have meetings with me or if you ask me any kinds of questions, basically I generally go by the idea of Batcave rules, where if there's anything too specific about you, I'm not going to talk about it. I don't really care that much about your business. I don't really care that much about you. I'm more interested, again, in these things, talking about the broader concepts. So I probably won't talk a lot about one-offs, but I will talk about things that I've seen like 10 or 12 times, right? You might be like, oh my God, Eli's talking about me. It's like, no. Again, if you're going to be offended, be offended by how unpersonal it is. Anyway, but I thought this was interesting, right? So I got this thing. I was talking about this before with the whole question about the OSI model. Is the OSI model still relevant? Is it obsolete? And so I got this question from one of my viewers, and basically my response back to them is, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. It's like, I don't even know how to play the devil's advocate on this particular question because I'm lost. It would be like, is TCP/IP4 obsolete? It's like, well, I mean, there is IPv6 out there, but we're all still on IPv4 and I don't see it going away. So I'm not really sure what the argument here. Anyway, so I had this person who reached out to me, and they're instructor, they're a real professional, whatever else. And they're like, Eli, is the OSI model obsolete? And my response back to them was, I don't know what you're talking about. What? Again, I literally use the OSI model damn near every day for my projects. When I'm building my Louis Rossmann attack robot, I use the hell out of the OSI model to figure out why it's not killing Louis Rossmann yet. Anyways, I built you to destroy Louis Rossmann. Go! Anyways, I use the OSI model every day. So, and I don't know, again, there's a TCP/IP model, which would be the alternative to the OSI model. Some people like it. I think they like it because it's easier to test on, to be honest with you. I think that's why they like it. There's 4 levels in the OSI model, or there's 4 levels in the TCP/IP model. There's 7 levels in the OSI model. I think people like the TCP/IP because it's easier to test for, if you were getting a certification. But anyways, those are the only 2 models out there. And whatever, you use whatever the hell you want. But again, I did not understand what the question was. And so I reached back to him and like, I don't know. I use the OSI model every day. I'm confused why this is even a question. Fill me in. What am I missing? Is there OSI V2 out there or something? I don't know. Anyways, and so he's like, well, the person was like, well, I got into this argument or this discussion with somebody like on Twitter. It's one of the social media sites. Let me be clear. All social media is evil. Social media must be evil for it to be profitable. That is my honest opinion. That's my honest. I don't even watch YouTube anymore. You know, it's been like a month since I've watched YouTube. I don't even take my own drugs anymore. That's how evil this shit is. I'm just gonna put that out there. But anyways, so I was on a social media site, and I was like, yeah, I got into this discussion or argument or somebody. He's like, here, let me send you the blog post. I was like, what? Anyways, again, to be clear, no Batcave rules. You publish a blog post. Anyways, so the person sent me this blog post, and it was like, rah, right? Anyways, I'm going through, and I'm reading it, and apparently, so they had published some post on one of the social media sites talking about the OSI model, that they were teaching the OSI model, or something along those lines. And then there's something like snot-nosed brat out of the middle of the country that's like, I'm tired of people teaching the OSI model. It's obsolete. TCP/IP is better, and whatever. Right? Again, snot-nosed brat. Snot-nosed brat that happens to be a CEO of some cybersecurity company. Still snot-nosed brat, right? Snot-nosed brat with a big title behind their name. Anyways, and the curious thing was, and so this little brat on social media just goes to town and is very mean and is very mean about his opinion about anybody who teaches the OSI model. And apparently they go back and forth. There's this whole social media thread where they go back and forth and are mean to each other. So anyways, I'm sitting there and then I'm reading through this blog post about the encounter. And again, it's a blog post. That's a blog post about social media. You know how we all talk. We all talk, right? In the blog post. And so, anyways, it starts like this. The blog post starts, and it was like, the question about the OSI model or whatever else. And I do not have a problem with people arguing about concepts or whatever else. But when you impugn my integrity, I'm paraphrasing here. I don't care that much. Again, it's social media. You know these words. Something along the lines of impugn my integrity. That is what I cannot stand for. Because apparently every time somebody gets into a spat on the internet, they turn into like Shakespearean characters. You shall not impugn the integrity of the we, for thou shalt be smote on the text. Whatever, right? Anyway, you get the whole thing. And the interesting thing, as I was reading through this, and I took a look at it, my thing that I came back to that person with was, I don't know what the hell this cybersecurity expert is talking about. Yeah, I literally, I don't grasp the argument. How can you be anti-OSI model? It's like being anti-Ethernet. Okay, well, I don't know what to tell you. Anyways, so I go back to this person, and I'm like, look, as far as I can tell, this person just being a snot-nosed brat. And I told him, it's like, look, when people get online, they just turn into assholes. Hey, I'm not being a hypocrite here. I am an asshole. Anyways, right, there's something about when people go online, they turn into assholes. And so we have a society of people that are highly stressed. Many of them do not have family. They do not have church. They do not have society. They don't have much of anything. Again, somehow work from home is considered a good thing. And so they're trapped in their weird little bubbles of abject irrelevance, right? If their condo building burned to the entire damn ground, would anybody even know that they should be called to see if they survived? Anyways, right? And the problem is, in this modern society, right, we're all told that we're supposed to be important. Again, the identitarianism. And now here's the thing, right? When we talk about people with beards wearing pink skirts, everybody loves to scream about identitarianism. Oh, look at that person who thinks their identity matters. Well, here's the thing. It's not just for the alphabet people. Again, it's that mentality. It's a mentality of everybody nowadays. Everybody thinks their identity matters. It doesn't. Nobody gives a damn about you. Nobody gives a damn about. Nor me. Nor me. Again, if you found out that I got hit by a bus today, you'd giggle. And then you go on with your life. That's just how it is. But anyways, but people want to be important. Whether they have beards and they're wearing mini skirts, or whether they're Christians, or whether they're cybersecurity CEOs. They want the world to know how important they are. But it's really hard to tell the world how important you are when you're a sack of crap. Don't got family, don't got God, whatever your version of God is. You don't have community, you don't have shit. Nobody gives two fucks that you exist. But you're told how important you are. And so here's the problem. When nobody gives two fucks that you exist, but you need to prove how important you are, what are you going to do? You're going to go on the internet and you're going to lambast somebody because that will show them. Right? It doesn't really work out that way. I remember a story, lived experience. I got out of AIT. And I was on a Greyhound bus. I was taking a Greyhound bus from Gordon. Yeah, it was Gordon. From Fort Gordon back up to the Baltimore area. And we had a stopover in Washington, D.C. And there was some problem with the bus. There was some problem with the bus that we're supposed to be going out on. And I spent a lot of time in training. I spent a shit ton of time. Again, 2 months or whatever for basic. And then I went through one of the longest AIT programs I had. Again, I was in training like 10 months, right? Anyways. So yeah, so there was this problem with the Greyhound bus or whatever, and there with a buddy, and I'm like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna give some people crap. Because that's what 19-year-olds straight out of AIT thinks the world works. Anyway, so I walked in. There was like this manager's office. And I still remember, he was like this skinny black guy, and he had his legs up on the desk, and he was talking with somebody, and I walk in, and I'm like, and yeah, he doesn't even look at me. I'm like, there's a problem here. And he's like, what's going on? And I was like, I said whatever the problem is with the buses or whatever. He's like, yeah, it'll get fixed. He goes back talking to his buddy. Dude! And that's the thing. Like you have this idea. You're gonna, tear somebody a new asshole. And then they just don't care. God bless that old black guy. That was a great lesson. That was a great lesson in life. What happens if somebody comes to tear you a new asshole and you just genuinely don't give two shits? Anyways, but that's the thing, right? People in the social media world, they want to tear somebody else a new asshole, and the problem is nobody really cares. It just turns into this weird, I don't know. What's worse than a circle jerk? It turns into whatever the social media world is, right? And that's the thing, right? So people want to go out there. They want to shout their identity, their egos to the world and scream, but nobody really cares. Again, one of the things I'll also tell you is if you have to explain your position in the world to try to win your argument, you lost your fucking argument, right? Your argument should be good based on the argument. If you have to say, I'm the CEO and I do X, Y, or Z, and I hate this, great, you're a shit CEO. Hey, you know what you should do as a CEO? Get better at rhetoric. Maybe. Get better at argument. Right? But that's what a lot of people do. I am this position, therefore you need to listen to me. And again, they've got all kinds of crap going on. right? People's lives in the United States are miserable. Again, the U.S. is failing. The U.S. is failing. Look, I love the U.S. I'm kind of a patriot. I'm like, nah, sort of. Gotta be careful that whole patriot world. But I like the U.S. I love the U.S. Constitution's pretty adequate. I'm not an anti-U.S. person, but we're failing. We're fucking failing as a society. We just are. Like housing. Like affordable housing should not be a word, right? Affordable Italian marble should be a word. Affordable BMW should be a word. Affordable roof overhead and toilet should not be a set of words we have in our society. We don't have housing. Our education system is fucked. Our healthcare system is fucked. Our retirement system is a goddamn disaster. The basic key components of a modern society are literally fracturing at the seams, literal stress fractures in our system. And so we have people in this world that are watching the foundations of their society implode from stress fractures. Plus, they're told that their identity matters. Again, whether they're wearing mini skirts or whether they're wearing combat boots, the important thing is who you are. And they go out on the internet and scream. And so one of the things I think about these kinds of people is they're just sad. They're just sad. Right? If you want to have a discussion about Python versus Node.js or C# or whatever, Linux versus Windows, there are discussions to be had about that type of thing. But if you have somebody coming out banging their chest and saying about how impressive they are and they fucking hate the OSI model and you're an idiot for teaching it, it just means they're sad. Just means they're sad. And so one of the things I want you to think about with that kind of thing is it worth a discussion past anything? Right? Is it worth the time to write even a text 144 character reply? Or do you just let it go? You can't argue with angry insanity. So why are you gonna try? I think about this with CoffeeZilla. So CoffeeZilla was talking to Lex Fridman. And Lex Fridman is supposed to be this Uber person we're all supposed to listen to. Whatever. I think he's smart. I think he's a dumb, smart person. My personal opinion. Anyway, so Lex Fridman is mainlining the Twitter or the X. All right, he is an addict. And I was curious because I was listening. There was this one podcast, whatever, back when I still was watching the YouTube. And so Lex Fridman was talking to CoffeeZilla, and they were talking about Twitter. And then CoffeeZilla said, yeah, basically he's off of Twitter. He doesn't use Twitter anymore. And Lex Fridman, as the addict as he is, oh, but you've got to use Twitter. If you're not part of the conversation, that's the whole thing. These fucking drugs, right? Because you can't admit that you're addicted. You can't admit that you're addicted to this shit. So instead of admitting that you're addicted to this shit, you got to bring other people in, right? If everybody's doing it, then you're not an addict. Anyway, yeah, right, he's got the fucking Twitter shakes going on as he's talking to CoffeeZilla. He's like, oh, but you got to be part of the conversation. And I thought CoffeeZilla was interesting. He's like, well, here's the thing, Lex. I've been on Twitter for a long time. And he said, in all my years looking at Twitter and all that, I have never seen anybody make an argument on Twitter that changed my opinion about them to make me impressed by them. Right? So again, think about all the social media influencers, all the influencers on Twitter. Basically what CoffeeZilla said in all his time looking at Twitter is he had never seen somebody come out on Twitter with a 144 character tweet that was so fucking brilliant that it literally changed his mind and said, look, I have to reassess my thought about this person. They're actually really smart. Again, think about that when you look at social media. He said, on the other hand, being on Twitter, I've seen a lot of times people have used 144 characters to prove how fucking dumb they are, right? And so he said, basically, as far as he was concerned, the value of Twitter was essentially to destroy people's reputations. Because when you're on there, you say things, one thing leads to another, and all of a sudden you're John Sonmez, bulldog mindset, just saying whatever the hell he said a few years ago. Anyways, that's his own story if you've been following along with me for a while. And I thought that was an interesting thing. And that's one of the questions you have to ask yourself is when you're dealing with these trolls, when you're dealing with these sad sacks of angry, insane crap, is there any way that you're actually going to win that argument? You're not going to win the argument with them because they're just angry and mad. But the other thing you have to understand is this is also a public argument. And when you say the things publicly in response to them, is that going to improve other people's opinions about you, or is it going to drive them away? I think about this with the old white guys, right? So a number of years ago, I had to deal with old white guys. That was interesting. Eli, the computer guy, around old white guys. Oh, fun ensued. But anyways, I found one of the interesting things when you're dealing with old white guys is that they're very quiet. They're very quiet. They don't say much about anything, right? Which is always weird. Like they're doing deals. They're dealing with real shit. Millions and tens of millions of dollars. Consequential crap. But they don't talk a lot. Their gums just ain't flapping a whole hell of a lot. And one of the things I found is the reason is because they don't want to offend anybody. Right? Because if you get offended on an emotional level, then you don't want to deal with people that have offended you on the emotional level. And if you're an old white guy that's trying to make money, right, you care about deal flow. You care about being able to write a check for the next deal that comes down the pike. And so if you have offended somebody in one shape or the other, they're not going to want to come to you because their poor little egos have been hurt. I've talked about this with a lot of startup founders where they don't understand. They'll go and they'll talk with venture funds or whatever else, and everybody will be smiling and everybody will be happy and they'll think the meeting went really well, and then they will never fucking hear from those jackasses again. And they're like, Eli, I don't understand. If they don't like my product or my idea, why didn't they just tell me? And it's like, well, because you might cry like a fucking bitch. What? Well, here's the thing. Old white guys don't want to deal with fucking cry, whiny ass bitches. Because the problem is one, you're going to cry and be a little bitch about it. And then two, you emotionally may take that in. Right? You didn't believe in me, right? Because it starts to get on this whole emotional level. One of the things with investors is, right, they need deal flow. They need deal flow. They need deals coming to their table so they can sort through the deals to figure out the ones that they want to throw money at, right? And again, they want 1,000 deals coming in so that they can pick the 5 best. But here's the thing, in order to get 1,000 deals coming in, you need 1,000 people to send you deals. So if you start offending people, if you start making it so people are scared to interact with you, they're not going to send you deals. And so it's actually much better for them essentially to ghost you because in the future, right? So let's say you're doing the startup, you're doing the Uber for dog dating apps, which is a fucking stupid idea. Everybody knows it's a stupid idea. But they all fucking pat you on the head. They smile and go, wow, that's interesting. Again, think about the words they say, the words that they actually say. Wow, that's interesting. I've never thought about that angle before. And they've got a nice smile. Oh, they're saying great things about my startup. No, they said they've never thought about something that before. Which might be, it's so fucking stupid. They never thought anybody would think about something that way. But they said with a smile, right? So anyway, so you do that startup and then you fail. Because of course you're going to fail. It's a fucking stupid idea. But then in that process, you actually come up with a pretty good idea. You're like, oh, wow, I actually came up with a really good idea. And then when you have that idea, you need investment. Well, here's the thing. If they smiled and all that kind of stuff, and you go back to them and like, hey, look, I never heard back from you about my last startup. They're like, oh, we're so sorry. We got so busy. Things got, lines got crossed. We sent you a message, but we never heard back from you. And then you hear it, and you're like, well, that kind of sounds crappy, but whatever. I need money. So here's the next deal. And then they look at it. Oh, wow, this is actually a pretty fucking good idea. Sure. Here's $1 million. We'd like to buy into that idea. Like, think about that. On the other hand, right, if you went with their stupid ass fucking Uber dog dating app, and they went, wow, yeah, I've never thought of that angle before because damn, that's dumb. Right? What if they actually said their opinion? And then you fail. And then you fail as you're gonna fail anyway. But then you actually get the good idea. You get the good idea. And then when you get that good idea, are you going to want to go to the people that offended you? Right? Because again, we're in the modern fucking world. We're in the modern world where your fucking ego is the most goddamn important thing. Your pathetic, piss-ant little emotions trump fucking everything. And in that world, right, if you feel like you've been offended before, you're not going to go and interact with those people. Right? Your startup might fail. They don't get deal flow. It's bad for everybody. So it's better. It's better as an old white guy. It's better for, I just smile, and say words that sound encouraging, unless somebody actually spends 2 seconds to think about what the words are actually meant. Wow, that is a unique way of doing that business. Anyways, the important thing to be thinking about this, again, with words and emotions and all that kind of stuff. And so you think about somebody that's a professional. Think about somebody that's a professional. Think about somebody that's in a teaching position. And think about they get into this little snark fest with somebody on Twitter or whatever else. And then people are looking at that. How much of the equivalent of deal flow do you kill? Because in a modern world where people's egos are incredibly fragile, they see you acting out the way that you are, and they're not sure they feel comfortable dealing with you. Well, if that's how you're interacting with somebody else on social media, do I feel comfortable? And then think about if you write a blog post, or you talk about your integrity or whatever has been impugned, and you put that out there publicly, and this is attached to your name. This is attached to, wherever you work and the letters behind your name and the whole 9 yards. And somebody reads that. One of the questions to ask yourself is, does that put you in a better position in other people's eyes? And especially in other people's eyes who may be able to support you going into the future. Right? Read the material. Read what you're putting out into the world and ask yourself, if you saw that, would you feel comfortable interacting with that person? And then look at the modern world with all the whiny little bitches out there and think about when they want to interact with that type of person. And I think that's one of the things to be thinking about, like with all the trolls on social media and everything else anymore, is Lex Fridman is wrong. Lex Fridman is a fucking addict who's peddling his buddy's bullshit drugs. You don't have to be on Twitter. You don't have to respond. It does not make your life nor the world any better to get into that fucking shit show. And I don't care how many degrees that jackass has from MIT. He is still a very stupid smart person who's addicted to those fucking drugs. And so the thing to be thinking about for yourself as you go out there in the social media world is how are your interactions going to improve either the relationships you currently have or the relationships you could have going into the future? Is that perfect 144 characters of snark you're about to lay down on that bitch really as smart as you think it is? And the answer is probably no. The answer is probably no. So when you have trolls online, whatever their titles are, whatever the letters are behind their name, I would argue it's far better just to ignore the conversation. If they don't like the OSI model or if they don't like whatever else, fine. Fine. Again, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure how they're going to go about their tech careers, but that's what they're saying, and I think that's the kind of thing to consider. Again, there used to be argument, there used to be debate, and one of the things that I would argue for is if you do feel strongly about a position, the OSI model or whatever else, then write a blog post, but don't put the other person in it. Don't put the tweets. Don't put the social media in it. Just write a blog post. Some people don't think the OSI model is still relevant. Or is the OSI model still relevant? And then do a well-reasoned, well-written explanation for why you think the OSI model is still important today. Or why you think it's a piece of crap today. What the fuck ever. Right? But think about that. If you have a student that looks at that, if you have another professor that looks at that, if you have a potential employer that looks at that, and they go, okay, this is how this person thinks about something like the OSI model. They've thought about it. They've explained it very well, even if I disagree with it. Right? They have the mindset that they were looking for. Imagine a blog post like that, beside a blog post where somebody's talking about their reputation being impugned. Which one of those is going to be better for your career? Which one of those is going to be better for your child's life? Again, that's the sad thing about the ego. That's a sad thing about these pathetic, sad sacks of crap. They ain't just destroying their professional careers, right? If they've got kids, right? You can only give your kids what comes in, right? So if you're holding back your career, it's not just holding back your career, it's holding back the movement of your entire little family. If you got one. If you got one. Yeah, that might be a bit of a question. So anyways, just one of those things to think about, and one of those things to ponder is yeah, because I've seen it more and more. Again, people have gotten meaner and stupider on the internet, and professionals have gotten meaner and stupider on the internet, and it's just getting worse. Like I was talking with a buddy of mine a while ago, and there's some professional people, and I guess they have a rift with some professional people here in Nashville, and I was like, what? I don't understand, because we were talking, and the people that they were talking about seemed nice enough. Again, I don't fucking know them that well, I suppose, but they seem nice enough. I have zero snark against any of these people. Zero snark against any of these people. I have snark against people, not these people. But anyways, it was interesting talking with them, and I was like, how could there be that major of a rift? What did you do? Did you take their dog out back and do something improper with it? I don't know, right? Anyways, did they take your dog out back and do something improper? I don't know. Anyways, and the thing with the fun of the thing was, like, my friend was like, "Oh, you should see what they've said on Twitter, or on like LinkedIn or whatever, one of these social media sites." And I was like, "What?" "Oh yeah, they went on to LinkedIn and they said all this stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, so you guys are in a spat because of what they said on LinkedIn?" And they're like, "Oh, you have to see it, Eli." And I looked at him and I'm like, "No, I don't." No, I guarantee you I don't. I am not going to judge anybody on the horse shit they put online. Again, when you go to the bar and you see an alcoholic who's drunk, right? Again, I had a mother that was alcoholic. I will be careful about that person. Again, I won't go out to the bar with them or whatever else. But when they're spouting the stuff when they're drunk, I'm not going to take that too personally. Right? When somebody is at the height of their high on that drug that they just can't put down, again, you're going to be cautious about them. There are things to consider. But I'm not going to take that as their end all be all opinion about anything. That's just what they're saying when they're high on that drug. And again, whether it's crack or whether it's alcohol or whether it's social media, the people on there are just high. They're just high. They're intoxicated. Don't get involved. Don't get involved. As I learned, who was with a mother who was horribly alcoholic. Like I say, there's that crack. Like about 8:30. Again, anybody who's had an alcoholic parent, you know that, right? 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, you hear the crack of the seal of that Jim Beam bottle. Crack. Like, oh, it's gonna go to hell. And then about 15 minutes later, right? Fucking hell breaks loose. And here's the thing: you can sit there and you can try to argue with an alcoholic, and you're gonna lose because all they want to do is scream, right? You can try to have a conversation with an alcoholic, and you're gonna lose because all they want to do is scream. You can try to do all this, or you know what you can do? Like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go out. What? Click. Well, I wasn't planning to go out tonight, but fuck it. Bye. You just close the door. You can walk away. So, anyways, I don't know. Some things to ponder. Things to ponder. It is snowing. It is now snowing outside. Anyways. Damn it. Oh, it's been cold. It's been so cold here. So, with that, that's all I got to say. There will be a Silicon Dojo class in another 2 hours, I suppose. And Silicon Dojo, there's all the stuff going on in Silicon Dojo. So if you're interested, take a look at it. If not, don't. And with that, see y'all later.